All right, so welcome everyone. I'm Alicia Wells, Chief Operating Officer of the Washington County Community Foundation, and we'd like to welcome you all to the third session of our 2023 Nonprofit Leadership and Engagement Series, entitled The Importance of a Good Online Presence. Really emphasizing the word good, and I know Jen and I talked about this a lot, a great deal, because being online just isn't enough. And if you're not taking the right approach to building your presence online, you may even be compromising your brand. But don't worry, there's hope for everyone. For this session, we're very pleased to have not one, but two experts on the subject from Tungsten Creative Group, a full service advertising agency in Erie. The WCCF has been working with Tungsten on our web projects for over a decade. And as someone who originally came from the world of strategic marketing and advertising, I can personally attest that Tungsten services are first rate. They do a great job. So with us today, we have Jen Winkler, who is Web Project Manager and UI and UX Designer at Tungsten. I'll let Jen tell you what UI and UX mean. Her incredibly fine attention to detail makes her a perfect fit for that role. Jen oversees the development of web projects from inception to completion, working with budget, scopes, and deadlines. And Allie Hess is a digital media strategist, a role that plays a key part in many Tungsten projects. Among her responsibilities are tasks such as concept strategizing, copywriting, and setting up, managing, and reporting on all digital platforms such as Google, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and more. So before I turn things over to our presenters, I just have a few general housekeeping items. Firstly, you probably already heard that this session is being recorded. The recording and related handouts will be posted to the nonprofit resources section of the WCCF website for your future reference. So look for that soon. And to respect both our presenters and everybody participating in this session, we ask that you please keep your mic on mute and make use of the chat feature if you have a comment or question. Questions are welcome at any time, but there will be an opportunity for Q&A at the end of the presentation. And finally, we do encourage you to share your name and organization when posting your question, because sometimes your Zoom handle doesn't say exactly who you are or where you're from. So with that, I think we're ready to get started, ladies.
Go off camera. Okay, so first and foremost, we are super grateful to Washington County Community Foundation for this opportunity to speak with you guys today. And like Alicia said, we've been working together for over 11 years now, and specifically we've worked together on WCCF Gives, the charity storybook site, and as well as their own website. So I'm Allie, and I work at Tungsten Creative Group. And my coworker, Jen, and I will be speaking with you today about the importance of a good online presence. Okay. So I know we already went over this a little bit, but before we begin, just a little bit more about Jen and myself. So Jen oversees the development of many web projects by working closely with clients to ensure that their brand is brought to life on the screen and in the best way possible. She has been working as a web project manager and UX designer at Tungsten for more than 20 years. And so I am a digital media strategist.
Yeah, she didn't sell it.
Sorry. So I help clients with the best digital or social media platforms that will reach their specific target audience, whether that be running a paid advertising campaign on Google or helping them plan and create organic content for their various social media platforms. Okay, so a little bit about Tungsten. We started back in 2001, and we are a full service advertising agency with our main focus being to help organizations market their brand and marketing campaigns. In the past 21 years, we've built over 300 websites, the majority of those being actually for nonprofit organizations. So this slide is just an overview about our presentation today and what we're going to cover. So we are going to go over the importance of a social media presence, and then we will dive into the importance of a website presence and the signs of an effective website. And then Jen is going to go over some website examples so we can see some before and afters. And then we will save some room at the end for any questions that you guys might have. Okay, so what is an online presence? It's how someone perceives, thinks, and feels about your organization through social media or a website. And this image could be good or not so good. Let's delve a little bit deeper into what this means. In this section, we are going to cover why social media is important, what makes a good social media presence, and why on its own it really isn't enough. Having a social media presence is essential because it allows you to create authentic content, which results in long-lasting brand awareness and personal customer relationships. It is important to be where your customers are so you can communicate with them firsthand. And some pros of having a social media presence are that it is relatively easy to set up and get your account activated. You can keep followers up to date and informed on your company's news and events. And it gives you the opportunity to kind of promote information that requires your followers to go back and visit your website. And you're able to find which platforms your audience uses and create your messaging and posts to cater to them specifically, which is actually a great segue into our next slide about audience statistics. So your social media platform that you use for your organization's messaging and marketing should be based on your target audience. And this slide is just to get you familiar with these social platforms. These are in order of popularity and user count to really hone down on which medium your target audience is using. So at the top of the list, we have Facebook, because this social media platform has been around the longest out of the ones listed here. And the primary demographic that uses this platform the most are people between the ages of 25 and 34. And then next we have Instagram, and the primary audience that uses this platform the most are people between the ages of 18 and 34. And then next we have Twitter, and the age group that uses this platform the most are people between the ages of 25 and 49. And then we have LinkedIn, which is primarily a B2B social media platform used for professionals. And this is primarily used between users ages between the ages of 46 and 55. And then we also have TikTok towards the bottom of the list, just because it is newer still. Doesn't mean it's not super popular, but it is the most popular used platform for people between the ages of 10 and 19. And then last on the list, we have Snapchat. And similar to TikTok, the primary age demographic that uses this platform the most are people between the ages of 13 and 17. And then the secondary audience that uses it the most are people between the ages of 25 and 34. And we included that because the percentage of age demographic is pretty close to the primary ages. So we included that one as well. And then for our next. So a good social media presence is understanding where your audience is spending their time, while also understanding the nuances of each social network to decide where your organization needs to be. The best way to identify a good social presence is by identifying brand consistency, which means your brand remains true to your identity by incorporating your logo or brand colors in your graphics. You have a solid follower base, meaning that your customers are following you and stay following you because you're consistently posting relevant content. And then community engagement, meaning that you're interacting with your followers by taking some sort of action on your posts, like responding to comments or tagging other companies or users in your posts. Okay, so these are some great examples from Healing Bridges, which is a charity based in Washington, PA. They connect residents of Washington County with behavioral health services. And on their Facebook page, they use brand consistency. As you can see here, they use the same fonts and colors used throughout all of their graphics. They repost relevant Facebook posts and articles that specifically pertain to their organization or brand. And then they share the services they offer, and occasionally will include a link to direct followers back to their website. And then they highlight customer stories because people love seeing real life scenarios. It makes the organization seem more real and authentic. So here are some tips to gain engagement with your followers. So the first one is be genuine and tell your story. Like we mentioned before, people love a company's authenticity and anything that shows there are real people behind the screens. Using video. Videos can take the information that you're trying to convey and just make it easier to interpret in a shorter amount of time. because people's attention spans aren't quite what they used to be. Over 70% of marketers claim that video produces more conversions than any other type of content, meaning that users are more likely to visit your website after viewing a video versus seeing a regular static still image with text over it. And then third is using real photos of real people. So this goes hand in hand with number one. Your audience wants to see the faces behind your organization and the faces of your current customers. These can all be taken really from your cell phones. And users nowadays are kind of beginning to tell the difference between real and raw photos versus those paid stock images. Answering common questions. If one of your followers comments on one of your posts asking if you're still open, like on President's Day, this gives you the opportunity to send back a public personalized response like, "Hi, Jen, we are open on President's Day. We'll be open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Hope to see you around," something like that. And then sharing weekly highlights. So this would just be posting about things that took place that week. And then taking part in community activities is a really big one. Showing your followers and customers that you're actively involved in giving back to the community, again, shows that you're real people and that you truly care. So while we know that some organizations may only have a Facebook page due to lack of time, staff, money, or uncertainty about how to start building a website, but it really isn't enough. It should be used as a support tool for your website. In order to get your message out, you need to get your audience to follow you and engage with you. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc., controls their home feed algorithm based on the user's interest. So
Allie, for some reason you're muted.
oh, sorry, somebody, okay. Did you hear anything I just said? I was on number 3. Okay, each platform's algorithm is different. 74% of consumers say that publishing sweet spot for brands is posting between 1 to 2 times per day, which for some can be pretty unattainable. Platforms can change their terms and conditions of use at any time, which we see pretty frequently in the digital world, especially right now. And then you're always competing with your followers, friends' posts, and paid advertisements. The brands will pay copious amounts of money to ensure that their ads are being served to their audience, meaning that it will overrule another brand's organic content. Going back to what we said about a social feed's algorithm, if your followers are consistently engaging with their friends' posts, like liking, commenting, etc., the social media platform's algorithm will then ensure that their friends' posts are the ones that are being populated at the top of their feed. You can post what you want to share, but the social media platform ultimately controls when your followers will see it. With social media, you have a limited amount of control, which is a segue into our next slide. So Jen and I like to use this analogy with our clients that are contemplating whether or not they want to make that leap into creating a website. With a website, you do have control over your content. You're in the driver's seat. There isn't a social media algorithm pushing other company or organization's content ahead of yours. You're in complete control of what your customers see. And then with social media, you're in the passenger seat, maybe even sometimes in the back seat. While you do have control over the content that you push out, other companies, brands, and general social media users have the ability to override your content and public visibility. And then I'll hand this over to Jen to talk about a web presence.
Thanks, Allie. Okay, web presence. So let's talk about why it's important. What is a web visitor looking for? And then why is a good website presence important? So we just talked about why social media isn't enough of an online presence. One reason being the amount of control you have over your content being seen. With a website, you're in control of your content. You show the web visitor what you want them to see and read. You need a website because when someone wants to find out more about your organization, what are they going to do? What would you do? You're going to search the internet. So search results may show your Facebook page and your website if you have one, but the website is what most people are going to click on because they know that this is where information they're looking for will most likely be. They may after go to your Facebook page to find out more about your organization's culture, to see what activities you offer, what information you're sharing regularly. but a website's important. A website legitimizes your existence. It means that you're real. So what's a web visitor looking for when they go to your site? What do they most want to know? Most likely, they're either looking to contact you to find out about services your organization offers, or maybe make a donation. So for contact information, we're talking about phone, email, location, maybe even directions. Sometimes that's a form, but sometimes people are wary because often no one replies to contact forms. This information is typically at the bottom, or should be at the bottom of the website, and that's called the footer, so that it shows on every page of the site. And it can also be on the contact page. For services, they want to know what services you offer. Are they effective? If they're interested, what are the next steps? And for donating, they want to find out how donated monies are going to be used and its impact on the community. Is my money going to make a difference? Having all of this information on your site is part of having that good online presence. So let's talk about why having one is important. So think about first impressions. They may not always be true, but they're made immediately and they can affect your decision-making. And you've heard the expression, you can't read a book by its cover, but most people pick up a book because of that cover art. I certainly do. And then reviewing some research studies we found, most web visitors will form that initial opinion about your site in about a second. And this will determine, whether they stay or leave. And if they think it looks cheap, they may think you are cheap. Your organization has low value, low quality. That's not means to say you are, but it's that perception. And over 90% of people surveyed said that bad web design is one reason they mistrust an organization. Is your site hard to navigate and you can't find what you're looking for? You may be challenging to do business with. So let's get into the signs of a good online presence. So a good online presence essentially means that you have an effective site, a website people want to visit and can find the information they're looking for. So yes, we're going to talk about the signs of an effective website in a minute, but first let's review some signs of an ineffective site. So an ineffective site could have some of the following issues. So a busy layout, meaning there's too much going on and you don't know where your eye is supposed to go next. A busy layout can really make it hard to navigate a site and to find out what you're looking for. Another issue could be readability issues. So is the text hard to read? This could be due to a number of things. So the text could be too small, the font could be a weird font, hard to read, and maybe the font doesn't represent your brand. So think about a rock band website. So if they were using Times News Roman, that's like a newspaper font, is that going to work for that rock band website? Probably not. If your organization works with people going through recovery, would you be taken seriously if your website uses that Comic Sans font, which was used for comic books? Probably not. So, and then another one is too much text. So we're talking here about paragraphs of text that include many sentences. People only read about a quarter of the text on the page. They scan through it. The average person's attention span is 8 seconds. So you need to help them find what they're looking for. Another sign is missing or out of date content. So has your office moved? Has a staff member left or a new one been added? If so, you want to make sure that you get this added to your website update plans. Missing information. So in the footer of a website, if you have no contact information and no location information, you can be perceived as not being real. I have an example of this. A while back, my family, we were looking for a dog and we were thinking about maybe getting a corgi puppy. So my husband was looking on all different websites, came across one with great photos, good prices. To me, it seemed too good to be true. So I went to the site to get the contact info, mainly to see where they're located, how far would I need to drive to get this puppy, but there was no location information anywhere. So that to me was a clue that this site was suspicious. I did a little research and in fact, it was a scam. So it's very important to have that location information in the footer. It's also important for Google as well, for search engines. Okay, so signs of an ineffective site in terms of functionality. Your website has a slow load time. So this means the time it takes a web page to be seen is in its entirety can affect whether someone stays or leaves, and you don't want to be over 3 seconds. Pop-ups. A lot of people have them blocked anyway because they take away the focus of what you're trying to say, of what they're trying to do. If found to be intrusive, it could also impact how you show in search results. So Google can take that into account. And then sometimes even on mobile devices, they're hard to click out of, and then, they can't go anywhere else. They're just going to leave your site. You have no SSL, so no security certificate. So you need to look at your site and see if it includes an HTTPS or just HTTP. That S means secure. So some browsers will actually give you a warning, and then you can still get there, but the browser is going to advise the person against it. And then another one is the site isn't mobile. So that just means it doesn't work well on your tablet or smartphone. So what you're seeing on a desktop computer is the same thing you're seeing on a smartphone. Okay, so signs of an effective site. So effective site, like we said, means you can find what you're looking for quickly, the information there's up to date, and a good design will aid the web visitor in finding what they need. So what does good design mean? So a good design usually has a simple layout. So it allows the visitor to focus on information they're looking for instead of focusing on the design when you're on your site. You don't want to have to think too hard about where to find something. There should be this natural flow. A simple layout helps. Also hierarchy. So hierarchy is the location of information on the page. So what can I see first, second, and third? If all the elements on the page seem to take up the same amount of space, the text is the same size, there's no hierarchy. We want to, it's hard to read. We want to see the most important information first. So that whether that be with larger fonts, it takes up more space. So think of a newspaper. You have that one large headline, for that main article, and then you have smaller ones beneath it. That's hierarchy. And a good hierarchy is going to help tell the web visitor what to do next. And this is true not only for web design, but for all design, brochures, posters. Consistent colors. So throughout the site, we want to make sure that your colors match your brand. And these colors should go together. They should not clash. They should be the same on every page. You don't want to have like dark blue and yellow on one page and then another color is red and green. There are exceptions to this color rule. For example, if there would be a color that represents something about your site, that would make sense, but there needs to be a reason to go over that 3 colors. Consistent font style. So we recommend only using 2 different fonts and no more than 3. And you can go, Google has something called web fonts. You can go there and see what website fonts are available, but they should definitely match your brand, like we said before. So another sign of an effective site has to do with content. And when we talk about content, we're talking about photos, graphics, and text. So photos, we talked about this in social media. It's true for websites. Photos need to be authentic, real images, but they should also be captivating. So people like to see faces. They're more, intrigued when they see faces. If you're taking photos yourself, please just, note to be aware of your surroundings. If you've got soda cans in the, picture, take them out. If you're taking a staff photo, outside is best. That natural light will be much better than taking it inside. And then you also want to make sure that your photos are up to date. So pay attention to that clothing style and masks. For buttons, you want to keep the text short and to the point. And for the text, you want to make sure to include calls to action. So tell them what you want them to do next. Don't just include text that says to contact you and then make them click on a contact page to find a phone number and an email address. So include that info with the text. Don't say for questions, email us and let it be the end. Instead, say for questions, email Jen at Atomic74 and make sure that that email link is a link. You don't want to make them think. It should just be that natural progression. If you have an event, tell me what it costs, where it's at. Give me some details. I might be new to the area and not know where it's at. So all of that information, is good, and that should be included. Text should be up to date. Like we said before, no old info. Users will get frustrated if there's old information. Is there a service that you have that isn't on the site, or is there a service that is on the site that you no longer have? That can be an issue. Text needs to be relevant also to what I'm reading. So we don't want to include superfluous information. We don't need to have any of that extra information, like we said, because people really just scan the content. And then also we want that text. The text is easy to read. So in order to make text easy to read, there's a few web, writing best practices that we'd like to give our clients. So plan before you write. So know your audience. Who are the people that are going to be reading this? Am I writing this content for a donor or for a potential client or an existing client? It could be for all three. So whatever that is, it's going to affect, what you're going to write. What is the main objective of this content, and what do people really want to know or need to know? And again, you want to put your most important information first. We talked about hierarchy and design. This is also true for writing web copy. They'll keep reading for finer details if you interest them initially. You also want to be concise as possible. So people want to absorb information quickly and efficiently. And if you have to use industry jargon, you should just quickly define it for your readers. We also want to maintain a consistent tone throughout our writing and use an active voice when we can. And then remember, since most people only scan the content, they don't read it intently, we want to help them to find what they need. And you can do this through headings, subheadings, using short paragraphs that only, maybe it only has 2 or 3 sentences, if that, and use bullet points where you can. So here's an example of some content used on a library website. So this paragraph has important information that I may want to read about. So like about borrowing and returning library materials. To find this out though, I need to read every sentence, but maybe I'm in a rush or I don't need to know all of this information. We can make this text easier to read by adding what we said before, headings and bullet points, and we can change it to be in the active voice. There are online applications that can help you with writing for web. Grammarly is one of them. There's a paid and a free version, but there's also a free app called Hemingway app. And this is what it looks like when you go there. So if you go into hemingwayapp.com and you copy and paste your text in there, you're going to see it says Hemingway app makes your writing bold and clear. And then you'll see all this highlighted copy. So if it's yellow, it's going to tell you if your sentence is hard to read or understand. The green means it's passive voice. And then the purple, it means use a simpler alternative, or maybe it's not that, it's not even needed. And you can't see it here, but it will also tell you what grade level that you're writing for. It just really helps to make decisions when writing web content or when editing web content. So then after, I plugged it in there, changed a few things, this is what we get. And you can immediately see the difference. So maybe I only want to know about checking out materials. I can see right away that borrowing heading. Or I only want to know about returning something. I can see that info right away. I'm not reading through that paragraph to find what I need. And then the information I'm looking for is presented in bullet points. So it's short and sweet and to the point. And the text is now using active voice instead of passive. So instead of borrowed, we say borrow. Instead of returned, we say return. So an active voice is more clear and more engaging. So next, I'll show you some before and after examples that will illustrate the ineffective and effective signs we reviewed. So we're going to talk about the Bradford House Historical Association, the Avella Area Public Library, and the Literacy Council of Southwestern Pennsylvania. So first, we're going to start with the Bradford House Historical Association. So the main issue with the old site was that when you came to this site, sometimes you would get this image. So it says, pages are not loading correctly. You had to reload your browser by clicking on that blue reload button to get it to show the site. Now, you didn't always have to do that, but that was an issue, and it really could deter people from even going any further. So when you did get there, though, this is what you would see. You can see that they have the 3 logos there that represents the 3 arms of the Bradford House Historical Association. They own and manage the Bradford House Museum, the Whiskey Rebellion Visitor and Education Center, and the Whiskey Rebellion Festival. A few things about this site. So each arm of their organization at this point had a different website, and they all had different designs. And at first glance, if you're new to this site, you've never heard of them before, and you don't know who Bradford House Historical Association is or what they do, you won't know that until you scroll, which is all right, but we should have that information seen sooner. And then also that about text, which you can kind of see that it's at the bottom there. It's disconnected from those 3 logos. So you'll see in the new version that those 2 are together. So there's a direct connection between the content and the logos. And then the first photo that you would see, again, this wasn't always true, but the first photo you would see was of a poster contest instead of the museums. And we also wanted to update the navigation to be better for a museum visitor, but also for people interested in history. And then there was some old content in the navigation as well, such as membership, which doesn't exist at the moment. So we removed that. And then here's what the Education Center site looked like. It had a limited amount of information about the center, and we wanted to include a lot more. And since the Bradford House Historical Association manages both sites, the Bradford House and Visitor Center, we combined them into one cohesive site. And here's the result. So this is the homepage. The navigation has been updated. You'll see there's no longer a home button. That's kind of old practice. This navigation is in order of audience use. So visit for visitors, learn for historians or people interested in history. And then the rest, events, support, news, and about, those are intended for both of those audiences. You'll see that we included rotating images of the inside of the museum. So you'll see there's arrows there. They actually scroll automatically, or you can move them yourself. This one talks about the open house, but they can also use the space to advertise upcoming events. And then you'll see that we explain what the Bradford House Historical Association is and what they do. And you'll see we have the 3 logos for each arm represented there as well. And they are also clickable, so they can also go to find out more information about each of those. And it's important to have text on a homepage for many reasons, but one, search engine optimization purposes. So Google or Bing, they want to be able to scan that homepage for that crucial content because they want to serve or show the web visitor the information they will most likely be interested in. And having that text, that correct text, is going to help with that. Then underneath that explanation, we describe each museum or arm with visual cues. So we have a photo, you'll see that easy to read text. So headline, subhead, text, and then a call to action in that button for plan your visit. Each museum has its own, I won't show you here, but each museum has its own dedicated section that explains tour information, location and parking, accessibility info, and then what you will see when you get there. It also, like the exhibits, and also what else there is to do in the area. So if people are coming from out of town, it helps to show them places to eat and spend the night. So we really delved into the audience's needs, to find out what information that they would like to see, and that's what we included in the site. If you scroll further down the homepage, you'll see then there that we have the section for the Education Center, but also for the Whiskey Rebellion Festival. And then we have the footer. So like we said, this is the info that's seen on every page. It has contact information we discussed before. So location, directions, operating hours, and social media links. And there's a lot of information here, but the layout and the design is organized and simple, which makes it easy to read and to navigate. And we explained the learning portion of the website, or expanded the learning portion of the website, because part of their mission is to educate about the Whiskey Rebellion and David Bradford. So if you visit the museums, you're going to learn about history, but there are other opportunities to learn about it as well, like through summer camp or school events and education events. You'll see we do have text on this page as well. That's really for, that's for the audience to read, but it's also for search engine optimization. And then you can click on each of those photo buttons to find out more information. Overall, the site has a better navigation experience for people visiting, learning about the Whiskey Rebellion, and to find out about news and events that the Bradford House Historical Association manages. So here's the former Whiskey Rebellion Festival site. So we needed to get the web visitor to immediately recognize what this festival was about. And we wanted to show the energy of the festival and its purpose. And you can read the text here, but by cutting some of that text, adding images, that would really help sell this event. So here's the new site's homepage, and this is only the top portion, but it uses the same fonts as the other website. Some colors are the same, but the reds are a little brighter, and there's a new blue that's added. Now, this was done intentionally to signify that even though it's a historical festival, it's not boring. It's very exciting. And then here we do have that carousel of festival images that automatically rotates through several images. You can also do that on your own. You can see the dates, why it exists, what you can do. The text is larger, much easier to read. You can even learn more about the festival if you want to click on that button. We updated the navigation. We included FAQs because, of course, when visiting a festival, you have all kinds of questions. How do I get there? Where can I park? What's the restroom situation, especially if you have kids? And most importantly, we added more images. So if you scroll down further, you can see that the photos really helped tell you what this festival was about. So each one of these photos represents a button that links to the things to do there. So food and drink, parade, shopping. And then on each page of the site, so like if you would click on food and drink, we included links to other pages where it made sense. On the contact page, we included individual contact information depending on your needs. For example, if you have vendor questions, you want to just contact those specific people. If you're a volunteer question, you want to contact that person. So again, don't make me think. I want to find what I need and, you know, get where I need to go. The design, it's a straightforward and simple design, making it easy to navigate. Okay, so this is the Avella Area Public Library. This is their old website. So they didn't have control over their content. They couldn't make any changes. They actually were part of the Washington County Library System site. Their operating hours and events were out of date. And to fix this, they were using Facebook. But like we said before, not everyone uses Facebook, and your posting on Facebook is, you know, what people see is they're not always going to be able to see what you want them to see when you want them to see it. So with Washington Community Foundation's help, we began the process of building the new site with the library. So this is the new homepage, and the navigation includes what people want to know. So links to the catalog, events, and resources. We also included that information as buttons, because when you read the site on, you know, a tablet or mobile, that main navigation collapses. You don't see that unless you click a menu. And then these buttons are in order from most used to least. So that catalog search is first. People want to know what books, you know, videos are available. And then the next one is my account. So they want to be able to sign in and request books, or they want to be able to see that list of materials. And then even though donations are important, we do have that last. And that's not, like we said, that's not to say it's not important. It's still there. It's just we know that that's probably going to be the least clicked on, and that people want to know the other information probably first. And you can see the hierarchy on the page here with, you know, this carousel and the buttons. And then next you can see we have the news. With that news, we include a link to read more news. The same thing with the resources. We have a featured resource that links to all the resources. And this was important because people aren't aware that there are many free resources. And then also a space for events with links to all events. And then further down on the homepage, we have an area about how to get a library card. So why it's a good idea, you know, this is short and sweet. Again, why it's a good idea to have one. You know, access not only books, but computers, free classes, watch movies, etc. Things people normally don't associate with a library. And then we have that active button. So get a library card, which will link them to what they need to do next. And then below that, we have the footer, which is on every page. Again, location, directions, contact information, hours. And since they have different hours daily, and because this is one reason people mostly come to the site, we not only have the hours in the footer, but we added it in the header as well. And you can see that here, it's outlined in red. So the header shows the days, that day that you're looking at, operating hours. So this is what Mondays would say. But if it were Friday, it would change and it would say close today. And if it were a holiday, it would change to say close today for the holiday. So this is the Literacy Council of Southwestern Pennsylvania's old website. It was not secure. The design seemed like it was a template, which could have been used by pretty much, you know, any organization. And there was no immediate brand recognition. The homepage here didn't explain what they did, although you can guess from the name, but there wasn't a lot of detail here. They planned a rebrand starting with a new logo, and then we transitioned into building a new website. So here's that new homepage. And it's important to understand that users may not, of this website, may not speak English or speak it well, and they could have dyslexia. Because of this, we use all caps sparingly. We used Source Sans font because that is easier to read. And we use the icons with the button text. And for the design, you can see we use the colors from brands. So there's three main colors, the teal, the green, and the orange yellow. And we have photos of real students. You can also see the hierarchy of the page content where the eye should go next. We have that first section with a larger text next to a large image, and then, you know, buttons, and then we have student success story. And with this first section, this green area here, you know right away why they exist, what they aim to do, changing lives one word at a time. And then we have a little bit more explanation if they were to read that, and then a link to About Us if they want to learn more. We're not, you know, leaving them hanging. If they want to learn more, they can click a button. We're telling them what to do next if they're interested. And then below that, we have buttons, and we chose this because, this is the three main components of, of the site: to learn, donate, volunteer. And then we have student success stories. They're seen actually throughout the site, not just on the homepage. And this shows the legitimacy and effectiveness of this organization to future students, but not only to potential students, but also potential donors. And remember, we reviewed that donors, they want to know that their money is making a difference. And a testimonial or story is one way to do that. So let's go back to the former site for just a bit to talk about content regarding services. So this was the old service and programs page. So it showed all the services and programs that they offer. Again, there's good information here, but there's no visual cues for someone who can't read well, and there's no call to action on what to do next. We want to do that, don't make me think. If I'm on my smartphone, I'm going to have to scroll to the footer to get the contact information or find it in the navigation menu. So this is the new page. So here we have a clear understanding through text, but also photos with real images of students. So this tells who each little card there tells who the program is intended for, and then they can click for more info. Or if they have already done their research, they can click the Getting Started button to learn about next steps. And then each program has its own page, whereas before it didn't. This allows specific program information to be shared with other people, other users. This page includes delineated information, easy to read. So program name, audience, who is it for? I don't want to guess at who it's for. So it tells them who it's for. Description, what are the details? And then that call to action of what to do next. So become a student, programs are free, very important. And you can do that several ways. That's in bullet points: call, email, PDF, or you can fill out an online form. So what are our takeaways today? So social media, we know, can be great, but on its own, it just really isn't enough. You need a website. A good online presence, whether it be social media or a website, has consistency throughout, showcasing the brand through design and messaging. An effective website means having up-to-date, meaningful content and a consistent, simple design throughout the site. And the site should be secure, and it should work well on a mobile device. Here are some helpful resources for social media, the social media stats we had in the beginning, and also for some website copywriting help. And we will be giving Alicia a PDF. This will be on the site later, so you'll be able to use those links. And now we'll open it up to questions.
Lots of good information, Jen. I've been working on websites a long time, but it never hurts to hear some of these things again and some new ideas. I love that you incorporated the icons into the Literacy Council sites for people who, maybe had difficulty reading or had difficulty learning English. That was a really great idea.
Yeah, there's always a reason, for the content that we have and the navigation we have and the design that we have. So.
Any questions? I'm sure everyone is thinking of questions. Don't be shy.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. So Jen has been great to work with. Thanks so much, WCCF. But she also, with our website, she took us to the next level. We've always had paper forms. We've always had our enrollment forms. Everything that we have is paper-based. Well, now with our new website, she's created online forms for us. So with our new translate button, they can do their enrollment form in their own language. So they literally took us to the next level.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Jen, I have a question. Oh, I think Joe, do you have a question? No? Joe might have a question. Well, I have a question, and it's about analytics. You talked a little bit about the design of the site being very intentional to help with some of those search engine results. Can you explain a little bit about why that happens and how you track that and what the analytics do?
I can try.
Just a little bit.
I can try. Yeah, that could be a whole other talk. But so with Google Analytics, we usually connect everyone to Google Analytics after the fact. Google Analytics actually changed the way that they work. It's new. We don't I'll be honest, we don't love it right now. It's taking a little bit to get used to just because they changed the way everything is calculated. But when we do design a site or have content on a site, we do take into account search engine optimization, which really is, Google. And we want to make sure that we're using the right content for the right page, because Google wants to know that, and they want to know that because, like we said before, they want people to get the information that they're looking for quickly. And that really and with Google Analytics, you can log in and you can see that information. Actually, what I like to look at is, the landing pages. Where did people come from? So most of the time it's the homepage, but it's not always the homepage. Sometimes, like for, the Literacy Council, it's going to be those services. That's why it was really important to have their own page, so that if someone is searching for a class, they're in that area, they can get to that page easily. They're not clicking on a services and programs page and then trying to find it. So, in the analytics, I'm hoping to see, we just launched that last week, but I'm hoping to see the results of that. I'm not sure if that answered the question, so let me know.
That's a good start. Yeah, maybe that's a topic, a whole other topic.
It could be, yeah.
Do another presentation on that one.
Exactly. Joe popped some comments and questions into the chat, and he wants to know, what are some software recommendations you have for creative help? Hootsuite, Canva, TechSoup. Do you have any others?
Yeah, Allie, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, that's a great question. We as an agency, we personally use Sprout Social, and that's what we like to recommend to clients. It's pretty similar to Hootsuite. So that's a social media publishing and scheduling platform. So you can do everything all at once. If you have a Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok, I know Sprout Social allows you to schedule, and it'll like push that content whenever you want. Those are premium subscriptions, so they do charge monthly or yearly. And then Canva is also a great one that is for super easy access to designing graphics, and they offer different templates. And that one, you actually there is a premium option, but it also is free for they just have some things that you don't have access to for the free version. But that is also a really good one for if you're just getting started in social media and you want to push out a graphic letting people know if you're closed, open, stuff like that. So we definitely recommend those. And I know I talked mostly about Sprout Social, but I know Hootsuite is also pretty similar for that. Just to get you started and organized. Those are great.
Hey, Allie, for Canva, is there a discount if they're a nonprofit or?
Oh, yes, actually, I believe there is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went through that process. We use Canva here at the Community Foundation. Yeah, you can get the premium, but it does take some time. You have to, submit things.
Oh, okay.
It's not going to happen overnight, but eventually you'll get there.
Right.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Oh, come on.
Hey, here's the other thing. If you have questions later, or if you want us to look at your site and give you some recommendations, please email us. I'm Jen at atomic74.com, and Allie is Allie, ALLI, at atomic74.com. So if you do have questions later, please email us.
The sites that Jen featured, which I thought was really great, showing the before and after, they were supported through the Community Foundation capacity building grants. So that is something that we focus on in our capacity building cycles. So if you're in need of a new website, definitely reach out to us. We partner exclusively with Tungsten on those websites, and I'm sure you can see why. Really, the knowledge and the skill there is just, like I said, top notch, and they've done our charities a great service. So just put that, make a notation of that. Cycle 2 will open this summer in August 1st. So if you want to talk about websites, give us a call. You can kind of get that conversation started.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Erica.
I'm with Camp Agape, and the camp traditionally hasn't been one to have a development campaign or anything like that. We're talking about starting a page on the website dedicated to looking for volunteers and or looking for donations, whether it's in-kind gifts or monetary donations. Any insight on how to do that without looking like we're being needy or begging, or is there an appropriate, what would be an appropriate way to, ask for help or donations or anything like that through the website? Is that fitting for this
yeah.
avenue?
I mean, I think it's okay to ask for help, totally. But sometimes with the donating part, well, you really, for that content, you just really want to make, say that you're appreciative and you want to explain why you need that support, why it helps and how they're going to help, get personal, what is it going to give to them and how is it going to help the community? But then also for donations, sometimes what really helps is saying, if you give this much money, it will help this many kids. If you give this much money, it'll help that many kids. And usually when that's illustrated through like an icon and text, that can really help drive, that immediate connection to donating.
Another suggestion too is, we're all friends here. We all share, we all get inspired from each other. Find some good examples and kind of just make it your own. And then, you can feel comfortable in getting that copy together. We do that all the time. We borrow too.
Yeah. And hopefully, you can change your content. So if someone, made a comment like, well, maybe you shouldn't say that, I'm not saying you can hopefully change that, it's an easy fix. So.
Very good. Anybody else? This is a really great question. I'm going to be quiet today. All right. Well, as Jen said, if you think of anything after we end the call, like often I do, she and Allie are available to answer your questions. And we will also be putting this information on the website under for grant seekers nonprofit resources. So you'll see that soon. So thanks again to Jen and Allie for all their wonderful
thanks for having us.
knowledge. Absolutely. This has been great.
So
looking ahead to next month, we have 2 exciting educational sessions coming up. The first will be held Tuesday, May 2nd, which is our Back to Basics WCCF Gives Reboot. So as a reminder, this session is mandatory for any 501c3 that wants to participate in this year's Day of Giving event. We're going to share lots of great information, so it will definitely be worth your time. Then our nonprofit leadership and engagement series will resume on Tuesday, May 16th with measuring grant outputs and outcomes presented by Dr. Tara Abbott. And this will be really helpful for anyone who wants to make your organization's grant writing, grant reporting more impactful, really how to paint with those numbers. So both of the sessions will begin at noon. And then the registration links, there's some in the chat, on our website, and on our social media pages. If you're not already following the WCCF on social media, absolutely take a couple minutes, do that today. We'll be sure to reciprocate if we haven't already. And we'll also be taking note of all these wonderful tips and tricks you learned today from Jen and Allie. So thanks everyone for attending our session and have a wonderful day.